Tesla stock was just sold by Elon Musk's brother shows this SEC form. There are a few very important things about this though. Tesla stock bears will rush to conclude that Kimball Musk has always marked the top for Tesla stock. But if you look at this chart right here, which keep in mind was made back in December when Tesla stock was close to $100, so right now we are roughly around here, you really only have one instance where Kimball sold and Tesla stock did not reach new all-time highs after that. Every time before, Tesla stock reached multiple all-time highs after Kimball sold. And even if you are more of a short-term trader and not a long-term investor, if you look at instances right here, here, and here, Tesla stock broke out and crushed these Tesla stock price levels. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, this sale happened under 10b5-1 plan. That means, if we oversimplify this, this was a planned sale from before. Although the plan was put in place relatively recently, so the bears are going to run with that, but the most important thing really is the amount, and the amount is only $20 million. It's not nothing, and for Kimball Musk, certainly that's a lot more than for Elon Musk, but this is still not even close to about 10% of Kimball's total Tesla stock holdings. The next crucial piece of information is right here. This says approximate date of sale, and that is yesterday. That's Monday. But see how it says approximate? Maybe it was not Monday. If I just go to NASDAQ and I refresh this page, reloading it, we will see that this does not appear here yet. Now, often there's a little bit of a delay here. It does not show up immediately, but it does not appear here yet. But just get yourself ready when the bears say that, oh, insiders are selling. Again, just understand all of these circumstances that this is happening under. It's a planned sale, it's a small amount, and also Elon unfollowed Kimball Musk on Twitter. But that happened a while ago, so I don't see that as a big deal, really. If you are a long-term investor, I personally am not worried at all. If I was a trader, though, I would be looking more into this. We have a lot more news today and some really good news too. Look at these numbers from China. They came out beautifully. Deliveries within China easily beats almost everyone's expectations. For example, Gary Black was at 133,000 versus 136 to 137 actual. We don't have the actual final numbers, but we have pretty decent numbers and it's pretty clear it's a new record. And Gary Black is saying that this should put to rest the talk about further price cuts in China. Q1 was by far a record China domestic quarter. We got about 89,000 wholesale sales, which includes local sales as well as exports. That's specifically for March. Gary's number was for the whole quarter and only for local deliveries. This is the chart that shows the wholesale figures. Keep in mind, we had the Chinese New Year in January, and the third month looks really good. And here's the chart for local deliveries based on insurance data. We have a good idea of what the figures are, but they are not final yet, but clearly we will have a record quarter within China, which is very important because if domestic demand within China is good, then Giga Shanghai can keep ramping quickly. Many Tesla stock investors are still trying to understand how come the deliveries were not higher this last quarter, because a lot of countries, at least the small ones in Europe, were really good, and clearly China did very well. But we did not exceed 430,000 deliveries. James thinks that it's because in the US, the sales were not strong enough or not as strong as he forecasted. We don't have complete data from Europe yet. We still need to find out what happened in Germany. And then we will sort of know exactly what happened. But I'm pretty happy with the numbers. But this, to me, is the most impressive part. So we are in this color. And see how we are higher than every single week in the previous quarters. And this is the last week of a quarter. And some people, they were afraid that this is just going to fall off completely off the cliff. But that did not happen. And we can certainly see a little bit of a flattening of a delivery wave. We had stronger deliveries in the beginning of the month, and it would be somewhat reasonable to expect this trend to sort of continue going forward. Flattening the delivery wave is going to take some time and effort. It's not going to happen immediately, but clearly we are moving towards that direction. I'm certainly happy with the results from China. We have more data from Europe. All delivery records in Belgium were completely annihilated by Q1. However, looking at Switzerland, it's a little bit different. Tesla sales here, quarter over quarter, are lower compared to before and even to previous quarters as well. As we get more data from other European countries, it will become more apparent if this is just a one exception, because in Switzerland they are having a banking crisis right now, and maybe that's why. But if we do have more countries like this, then perhaps there is some sort of a trend, but we need to wait and see to know exactly. I used to live in Europe before, and parking spots in Europe are quite a bit smaller than here in Canada or the US. Parking a Model 3 here is so easy anywhere. In Europe, if you don't have, for example, the parking sensors, it depends on where you park it. So perhaps not having the parking sensors working was a big deal, although the newest software updates helps with that. It's not a complete solution, but it works in many circumstances already pretty well. But a lot of other European countries so far, at least from what we know, did not really have a problem with that, but we are still waiting for some more data from important countries such as Germany. Another important fact to consider is that Switzerland is not in the European Union, and so therefore importing cars into Switzerland is just going to be a lot more hassle than selling them in almost any other country that is already in the European Union. So maybe you could also perhaps say, if there was a lot of demand in other countries, why bother sending these cars to Switzerland and go through all of this extra hassle? This is certainly some good news for us Tesla stock investors. Australia pauses the tightening cycle. They are not increasing interest rates anymore. Canada has already done it, and when other countries did that, maybe that will give a stronger signal to the US to also stop increasing interest rates, at least maybe pause for now. That would make the cars more affordable. One more thing about Switzerland. The Model Y is still clearly the #1 best-selling vehicle in Switzerland year to date. And this should include all sorts of vehicles, including economy vehicles. You can see that Volkswagen Golf is here, clearly not a luxury vehicle, as well as Skoda Octavia, which also is not exactly a luxury vehicle. We now also have more evidence of what kind of brand damage Tesla actually suffered from. And Tesla actually topped the list of the world's most valuable automotive brands, with brand value being the opposite of down by 44%, which now is valued at $66.2 billion, according to a new report from the leading brand valuation consultancy Brand Finance. But the most impressive part to me here really is all of that has been done with zero paid advertising. Gary Black believes that the big catalyst for Tesla stock will be the Cybertruck. Just like the bears did not see the Model Y coming in 2020, they do not see the Cybertruck coming as well, although it's sort of hard not to see it. I mean, look at how it looks. You can't miss it. We have another new update about full self-driving. Tesla drivers are now doing 1 million miles per day on FSD. The team is closing the loop on interventions very rapidly, says Elon Musk. To get enough training examples for potential serious accidents, we have to run them in simulations, as we have so few in the fleet. Imagine what other companies are doing that have almost no cars. Tesla has hundreds of thousands of vehicles on the road today, collecting data every single day. And Tesla is doing 1 million miles per day on FSD. Actually, in the real world, how many miles do you think other companies are doing? Not 1 million. And this is actually pretty bullish data, even though the market in Turkey opened, so you can now order a Model Y. you can't get one until October or December. I thought Tesla had too much inventory. I mean, wouldn't it be just so easy to just move a little bit of inventory from a place where you have too much inventory and just put that in Turkey if you indeed have too much inventory? For my Tesla Bear friends, just in case you didn't know, Germany is actually pretty close to Turkey, and the reason why I would assume you may not know that is because, well, you are a Tesla Bear. My Australian friends will love this. Tesla has reduced the price of a Model 3 by $3,400 for the entry-level rear-wheel drive and long-range variants in Australia, a reduction of 5% and 4% respectively. And the Model Y is now also available in Japan, specifically the long-range version. It is now also available in Australia as well. It was not available there before. We also got people talking that Tesla is about to start a large-scale test of FSD beta in China. He said before we all knew publicly that Elon is going to China, and now we know Elon is indeed going to China. So shout out to Chris Zhang for reporting that, as well as this. And this is just absolutely ridiculous. Insiders at Signature Bank, one of the banks that went under recently, sold more than 100 million in shares over the last few years, which you would think is not a big deal, but watch this. More than 50% of those sales were made by the bank's chairman, former CEO, and his successor, who kept the transactions quiet by filing them with the FDIC rather than the SEC. And here's a bit of reassuring news. If Credit Suisse wasn't sold to UBS, Credit Suisse is one of the biggest banks in the whole world, it would have gone bankrupt the next trading day, and it would have caused a global financial crisis, according to Swiss National Bank VP Martin. So maybe that's why the sales of Teslas in Switzerland are not really good. These banks are all based in Switzerland. And this is the Tesla stock buying opportunity explained by Elon Musk. My name is Matt Posius. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.